And we're live, guys. We are back up and ready to roll. I have JC here and Josh here. They are both here. Hopefully, they are ready to talk. We got some great topics today. How's everybody doing this morning, guys? Normal day. I mean, you guys.
Doing good.
Josh sounds like he's echoing today, so he must be like in a tunnel or something.
He had the headphones on.
Yeah. Oh, now he can't. We can't hear you, Josh. You got to unmic yourself, unmute yourself. Yeah, we can't hear.
How's the echo now?
There you go. That's better.
Is it still
Got out of
echoing?
that tunnel. I know. So today we are going to talk about some great topics. We are live right now, guys. If you're watching, it is Landscaping to the Point, and we are just sitting here and chatting as a normal Sunday like we do. And I'm just gonna jump into it right away with the topic of the day. Okay. This one is probably the best one. Josh, how many times have you seen the Barbie movie yet?
I haven't.
Come on, you got two daughters. They probably dragged you to the Barbie movie already, like at least 3 times.
No, I was. They haven't gone. It's been sold out every time they try to go see it. But I think they are planning on going to see it this week. But it's with their mother and a bunch of the girls. I'm not.
You're not
coming.
going?
Yeah,
That's
Josh and I are
that's
going
like
tomorrow.
classic.
Yeah.
That's classic movie. I would think you would go.
Josh and I are going
Barbie
tomorrow.
goes-
I
Yeah, we're
think
dressing up. He's Barbie. I'm Ken.
Oh, I can see it. I can definitely see it. Yes. So that was a good one. I think that definitely proves the point that Josh does like Barbie. He just doesn't want to come out and say it, and
I
everybody
played
knows.
with Barbies when I was little with my sister. I think I was like 8. I stopped playing with them like 8 to 10. I got like distraught when she was just like, "I don't want to play with you anymore." And I had like the whole little. But maybe that's why. Maybe it just brings up like childhood trauma.
Who were you, Ken, or were you like a Barbie?
Probably both. I don't know. I don't remember, to be honest with you.
I don't know if I'm ready for this topic of conversation yet.
Jensen, because I know you have a sister. Did you play Barbies with your sister?
No. Just playing. I had my Transformers and
Okay.
GI Joes
Okay.
and my wrestling figures, my WWF wrestling figures. But I will tell you
There's
this:
nothing wrong with that.
I would go to the movie just because. What's her name? Margot Robbie. Is that her name?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I can't wait for her because I heard at the end of the movie and the after scene, she changes into Harley Quinn. So she goes from
Oh,
Barbie to
that's
Harley
sick.
Quinn. See,
That's sick. That is
I've
sick.
only seen the first Suicide Squad movie. I think there was like another one or something. I'm not sure, but
yeah, there was
pretty good.
two. I mean, there was two of them. I mean, they both were good. I mean, they had their points to them, and I think they both can go good. Continue to go good. My wife asked me if I play Barbies. Yes, I did with my cousins. I had two cousins that were literally less than a year apart from me. So
Boy cousins?
no, girl cousins. I was the only boy for literally. I was the only boy for like 7 years before my other cousin was born. So there was a lot of girls on my side. But I did play Barbies. I was always the GI Joe guy. So I had tons of GI Joe. So it was 10-foot tall Barbie with little 3-inch GI Joe guy. So it was kind of different. So
when I was a kid, we had I had those micro machines,
yeah.
with toys and stuff instead of like the Hot Wheels, and I loved collecting those, like setting up the ramps and stuff like that, and like all the different types. They were a lot better when I was a kid than they are now.
So yeah, Nick says he's a Barbie wrapped in plastic. So just for everybody to know out there, Nick Saint is a Barbie wrapped in plastic. So
Nick is freshly sealed.
yep, freshly sealed. I don't think they have bald Barbies though, Nick. I really don't think they do. There might be one out there, but I don't know.
They got it. all the Barbies now. Are you kidding me? They got the short bus ones like Nick. They got all of them.
Oh, yes, they probably do. So, um, but okay, so now that was a good topic to start with. We started with Barbies. I'm gonna jump on to one that I kind of posted out there for everybody to hear. I'm hoping to get some more people on this one, but ads. Uh, how do you run your ads, and how do you guys feel about like the ads that are being ran nowadays? And how, if you've seen a negative ad, would you complain about it? I'm gonna throw that out to you guys.
What do you mean, like just a regular TV commercial ad, or are you talking like
Yeah.
business?
Yeah, like an ad for like, a piece of equipment or something, or like, a TV ad like promoting like look, think about the Bud Light commercial, and the woman. Would you, I mean, there's so many memes about it right now. Like if you drink Bud Light, you're gonna turn into a chick. Would you go and make a big stink about it because of, you feel that way, or would you just not say anything about it?
I mean, I think it depends on how much you're interested in politics, I guess. If you feel like it's something that's really important to you, but to be honest with you, when it comes to me, I don't really pay attention to ads. Like if I like something, it's something that I've liked for a long time. I'll continue buying it. Um, but I don't think I watch enough TV. But obviously now you have YouTube and all these YouTube apps pop up, and I think like everybody else, you just as quickly as you're able to skip something, you skip it. But there's nothing really that's come up recently that I think that made me scratch my head. I know a couple of podcasts ago we were talking about like the social media ads, as far as like um, Josh was bringing up like the hymns ads and stuff like that. And yeah, those are like the types of ads that sometimes you don't really want to. I don't know. They put a wrong message out there, so I think that's when it's a little more impactful when you think that they're going overboard on strictly just advertising something and then getting personal with whatever it is that they're promoting. And then some of that information could be controversial, some of it could be incorrect, and some of it could offend someone if they're the type of person to be offended in that manner. But for the most part, I don't really try to watch too much ads. The one exception would be probably the Super Bowl. I look forward to seeing those like aspects to it. But I even think nowadays, like it's like they're losing their humor.
Right, right. Nick says funny ads are catchy. If you get the people to laugh, they will remember you. I think so. I think some of the ads out there nowadays are pushed to that, to where it's more eye catchy, a little bit more funnier than way back when. A lot of them are serious, but then like you said, JC, I mean, you get a lot more serious ones now that they come out to where they're really serious, and they're trying to prove a point. And yeah, I mean, I think there's good ways about doing all kinds of ads. I mean, there's pluses and there's downfalls to it, but
I think some of them too, like they don't even advertise their own product. They advertise a cause, and it has nothing to do with whatever they're trying to sell to you. They just want to have some type of impact. Even negative impact will bring attention to that brand, and just being controversial, or being talking about something that's going on in current events. I think they just even got to a point where they stopped advertising their own product, and they're starting to just kind of get into the conversation of what's going on in the world.
Right. So Josh, I want to hear your point on this.
I guess in reference to like the Bud Light commercial, I don't really, I don't know what the beginning of that was. I didn't really follow. I saw like, I guess, the aftermath of like everybody, if you drink Bud Light, you turn gay or something. I don't know.
Turned into a woman, as far as I know. I mean,
it was like a trans support thing, which is like, what? Like again, I agree with you guys where it's like you advertise the cause, because when you're advertising the cause, at least 50% of your population, at least 50% of your population is going to jump on the support train. It goes across, and it does. Unfortunately, the advertisements, I think, turn political, regardless if they're in that way or not. I mean, look at the Nike the Nike campaign with Colin Kaepernick. Regardless of where you stood on that, Nike was almost genius with that, because signing Colin Kaepernick when nobody else would for what he stood for, you had half the country that was all about it. But like, damn, I didn't. But like, and don't make me a girl, and I don't watch Barbie movies. That doesn't make me it. Like, I don't know. I didn't get that whole Bud Light thing. That just shows you how sheepish people are, like on both sides. Like, be your own person. But as far as that, yeah, no, I mean, can the Super Bowl. I do like the funny things, but I mean, when it comes to like equipment or software, I like the social proof. So like, that's the one time I will scroll to like Instagram or YouTube and look at who is saying what. Let's go. I think it's probably to go.
I
So
don't
random.
Nick Chu's boy butter. So let's just call it
Yeah.
quits with that, and that doesn't make him gay. But no, I mean, I'd like to see social proof rather than advertise. I mean, advertisements are there. You can get snazzy and all that stuff. But I mean, when it comes to my own company, I try to keep it short, simple, and to the point. Advertise what we do and who we are and where we are.
Would you ever, either of you guys, do like a funny ad that would, be controversial to your business?
I don't think
No.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the one thing with me, my business is my business. My business doesn't have a political identity, sexual orientation, any of that. My business is my business. Like my business, we don't stand. Like I've had politicians local approach me and ask me to put bumper stickers on a truck, or I don't do that. My business is my business. I don't touch any of that stuff. Like I advertise what I do. That's my source of income.
Right. Nick says, as long as there's no eye contact, it's all a fair game.
Okay.
I think, you're going to get eye contact from anybody, no matter if it's political or not. And, they say that it takes a lot to get business, and it takes, a little bit more to get rid of business. I think us as our businesses, it's more of, you want, like, kind of like Josh said, you want something that going to show you social proof of like what you're doing and what kind of product you can perform, and what kind of service you can perform. And that's what you want to show. I think in our industry that's kind of what I'm always trying to put. If I'm going to put an ad out there, is it's going to show exactly what we have. So he's crying over there. We know you cry.
That's one of those things too. It's important looking at from the aspect of the business end of things. Like a lot of companies are, within our field, injecting politics into their social media, right? And now you have customers or potential customers that may be sensitive to those topics, and maybe not. Maybe you lose a job because of that, or maybe you lose a customer because of that. I am a somewhat political guy. At least I like to kind of educate myself on that type of things. But when it comes to my social media or business or anything like that, it's politics free. Like there's like Scott said, like Josh said, it's whoever needs the service. Like we're selling this product, selling this service. Like I don't care what side of the fence you're on. Like if you need your lawn mowed, and I'm gonna do it. If the price is right. But I've seen a lot of accounts, even like companies that have had sponsorships or been sponsored by a company, been dropped because of their injection of politics. And I think we all know maybe one or two people that we follow that have been in that situation where, they push out a lot of political content on their business site or their business Instagram, and that could kind of turn a lot of people away. And if you're looking to make money, it might be a mistake.
Right. So, okay, you guys are in Boston. So what if somebody that, say a customer like us in here in Ohio, where I'm at, there's the Ohio, Michigan. Okay. So literally there's a lot of Ohio, Michigan, people, fans. So we have a lot of companies here that won't take Michigan fans. They won't take any other fans. They only want like Ohio State fans. So for you, like Boston, if it was somebody that wasn't a Celtics fan, and let's say they're the Lakers fan, would you take them as a customer, or would you just say, sorry, I don't treat Lakers customers the same as Celtics fans,
Charge
or would you
them
give them
more.
the FU price?
I talk a lot of shit. That's for damn, like, absolutely. I mean, I've had Yankees fans that have made it absolutely clear that they were Yankees fans. And but no, I mean, at the end of the day, like, that's why, you know, I don't want to advertise political views or anything like that, because at the end of the day, to me, like, your money's your money. I mean, I'm gonna take it. You know, at the end of the day, like, you don't know if someone's a serial killer or rapist behind closed doors. Like, you don't need to know that. Why do you need to know who they vote for? You know, their opinions and certain things. I don't want to know. I just want your money. I want to do my job and go home.
True. I agree with that. JC, I seen you kind of shaking your head earlier, like if they were, yeah, you'd still take their money.
I'd charge them more. No, I'm just kidding. No, absolutely. You separate that, and you treat them just like you would any other customer. You know, you're in the field to make some money, and it really doesn't matter. You shouldn't inject emotions into your business in that manner. Go out there, make a living, do what you got to do to get that money. That's it.
Cool.
Just a quick reference, real quick. Sorry,
Yeah.
but like, it just popped in my head. I have a few customers that I actually gained other services off of other companies in the town I'm based out of, because they've been so vocal on political views. And it's not that the customers were against what they were saying; they just didn't like how they threw everything out there and kind of showboated. I guess the delivery they used on it. So I mean, that worked for me. And again, it's just like another reason why I don't like doing that. I mean, I'm a vocal person when it comes to stuff I believe in. So once I get into it, I get into it. So
Right.
The tough thing now is even battery and electric stuff. Like, there are customers that may politicize how your business is ran and how efficient your business is ran. And, you know, obviously, if you using gas powered products and stuff like that, they may not hire you because they want battery or electricity powered equipment, and they may be looking for a landscaper that provides that. And that's a tough type of thing, because you're in a pickle just because those people are going to be looking for specific, you know, obviously their beliefs. It is what it is. But also at the same time, a lot of those customers think that battery powered equipment is up to date to today's standards, and for a commercial company to be able to provide those services, like, it's easy what limitations that equipment has for us in a commercial field. Like, obviously, we all know that there are certain items that we can utilize that's battery powered, but to go 100%, it's not, at least my belief is, it's not 100% there yet with today's times. I think in the future, obviously, that may progress. Right now, it's really expensive. It's hard to kind of maintain batteries being charged consistently if you're going to several different customers throughout your route the entire day. Whereas in gas, you fill it up, turn it on, and there you go. So it might work on the opposite end of, from a customer standpoint of view, as to what they believe politically, and then decide whether or not they want to hire you.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, gas and battery is trying to get more and more push on it, and you know, people think battery is more the way of the future, and it probably is eventually down the road. You know, I don't feel it's there yet for commercially, and you know, a homeowner, yeah, that's fine. I mean, it's perfect for them. You know, that's definitely worth it. So, yeah, but go ahead.
No, I said we've had that conversation several times in the past about battery versus gas, but to think of it from a political sense, like it's a whole lot. It's a whole different conversation, just because the lack of education and people that tend to be on that side of the fence. You know, climate change and energy efficiency and all that stuff, they may want to tend to hire a company that provides those services, whereas they don't hire companies that are traditional in utilizing gas.
Right. So here we go. Here's another good. This one should be a great topic for the rest of the period here today. So if you guys if you could start all over and tell your younger self one thing about the business or one thing to change before they got your business growing, would you do it? And what would you tell them?
Mm.
It's an eye opener. I think Josh has got it.
Yeah, well, it's funny because like I'm in I'm in a mindset right now where I'm every few years I kind of get the itch of wanting to change things up, and I'm kind of in that mindset right now where I'm trying to open up kind of like a satellite location, but at the same time I'm trying to figure out what direction I want the whole company going. But if I had to go back, so the question was, if you had to go back in time, or you could tell your younger self something about the business, what would it be to grow? I would say, take more chances earlier and be patient. Um, I want to say that I took chances earlier, but it seemed more like I was like in that that grind mode more than anything, where it wasn't really taking the chances. It was just like taking the chances with staying out 14 hours a day, and running myself into the ground, and not really focusing on myself. But I think if like I could go back and kind of make the me time, and then take more calculated risks, I'll say, that would be it.
Okay. So what about you, JC?
I think when I first started, my eyes were set on the finish line, and I didn't take the time to think about how I was going to start because I was looking in advance of how I visualized things were going to occur without preparing to get to that point, if that makes any sense. And
Yeah.
um, patience is something that I would tell myself to have a little more of. Um, focus more so on the work, focus more on trying to acquire long-term customers as opposed to like being scattered around and just offering services to people. Um,
Right.
and just having some more security, just being patient. I think I was so eager in the beginning that I was visualizing stuff that I shouldn't even be thinking about at the time. I needed to focus on just the establishment, the foundation, and that's where I made my mistakes.
Yeah. That's a good one. I mean, I would say to be patient, kind of like just kind of go in it and be able to say no to customers. You know, I feel like I always say yes to a customer because, it's good money or it's a quick job that actually turns into a longer job or a job that I kind of like, I'm like, why did I even take this? So I think I would go back and tell my, younger self, like, hey, say no. Don't be afraid to say no to a job. There's other jobs out there. There's plenty of work out there. It's gonna keep going. Your business is gonna keep growing. Just be able to say no. And I think that's one of the major things. That's always good. So
Like with me, I was like making logos, I was making T-shirts, and like doing all this stuff even before I even set foot and started. And I mean, it's good to have that open mind and creativeness to kind of have those things done. But if I were to be able to go back, I'd focus more so on the more important things of just the work alone.
Nick says he would not don't take out any loans on your first 2 years or maybe 3 years. What do you guys think about that? I think that's iffy because I mean, yes, you can start a business with just a 20-inch and, work your way up. And I think in the first year you could build up enough money to buy a used commercial mower, and then work from there. And definitely, I mean, I started out with no loans. So I mean, it's one of those things. I think there's pluses to not starting out with a loan, and I think there is pluses to having a loan, depending on what you want to do and how big you get. But I feel like it's you got to take it in strides. And it, you can't really rush a loan. And if you don't have the credit, it's kind of hard to go from there. What do you guys think?
Yeah, it's a little
Josh?
iffy too.
Yeah.
I didn't take out any loans. I did mostly cash based. I didn't really have a lot of overhead, but that also limited me from being able to do what I wanted to do, especially if I wanted to turn that into a full-time position. Um, it's one thing to go out and say, "Hey, tomorrow morning I'm going to start my landscaping business, and I'm going to go out and take a loan for $10,000 on a mower without having any potential customers to begin with." You might struggle to try to find customers. You might struggle to try to pay that off. But I think there's a balance in which, you have a certain amount of customers and you build yourself up to a point where, listen, right now I need to grow a little better, bigger. I have these customers and, not that I've done it, but if you wanted to grow and you have the potential of expanding, then invest in that loan to take out, for some equipment and be able to, you know, get your customers and expand a little better. If that's the type of situation in which being able to get a piece of equipment, you're able to utilize it, then I wouldn't say it's a bad thing to go out and take that loan. It depends. Some businesses thrive faster than others. If it's 2 or 3 years, it might take you 3 years to get yourself established a little more. It might take you a year and a half. So I think it's really unique in everybody's different situation.
Yeah. I think Josh is like in his business, it would be easier or more profitable for a loan, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's your hopes of it, efficiency and less downtime. And listen, I am not opposed to used equipment. I have used equipment. I was looking at used loaders yesterday. Put it all depends on what they are, but like the first 2 years of business, I mean, I couldn't. I couldn't even fantasize about a loan. My credit was so bad back then from being younger and digging myself in the hole and never getting out of it. And excuse me. I guess I think it depends on your situation on the first 2 years of business. One, it depends on your personal financial situation. Like, do you have the means to pay your bills? Like, are you covered for the 2 years that no matter what, if you did nothing, you can pay your rent, your mortgage, your cell phone bill, your car note. If no, then you may want to reconsider that. But in the same sense, if this is something that you really want to do and you have an actual business plan rather than just going, you know what, I'm going to buy a $10,000 mower. I'm going to go out. Hopefully, I'll get 24 customers this year and I'll pay for it. It's not how you do things. You actually have to look at your market. You have to do your research. Knowing what I know now, would I be opposed to it? I'd probably be a little nervous and say, well, you know what? I got $4,000 in my pocket. I can go buy this mower. This mower should last me 2 or 3 years. Or I can take this note off for $10,000 and for like $150 a month, have a brand new mower, knowing that I hopefully shouldn't have to do anything to it besides the maintenance, oil, and air. That's the upside of that. Like, rather than when you go out and you spend $4,000 on a mower, what if you get a limit? Now you're out $4,000 plus whatever the repairs are. If it's an engine, what's an engine on? I guess depending on the lawnmower, $400 to $700 for the engine. If you can't do it, now you're at the mercy of a mechanic, and then you're at the mercy of how long it's going to take them to do it. And if you sent anything in a small engine in the past like 3 years, that nothing's a quick turnaround. So I wouldn't be opposed to it if you really had your head on and you knew what you were doing and knew how to manage money. I will say that the majority of the people that enter this industry are usually coming in because it is the cheapest entry level solo operator proprietorship that you can get into. And that's not knocking anybody, but that's why a lot of the companies that start up in this, like, we're infamous for that 3 to 5 year rule, because a lot of people go, fuck it. Like, I made my money. I'm going to go do something else, and some guys just running out. They don't know how to budget the money. They're thinking, I'm making, $2,000 a week, not realizing, like, you're a sole proprietor. You're getting hit with that 30% tax rate. You're up some places 40%. You can't write things off. You don't have any depreciating value. And then they go, oh, crap. But if you know that stuff, you do your homework. Yeah, absolutely. But I mean, I would be conservative if not. And yeah, you want to see what your trends are for 2 to 3 years. If you have the record that you can afford that $150 a month payment, and I'm throwing that number out there where they might be 200 or 300, but I would imagine, like, if you're financing a walk behind, I couldn't see it being any more than $200 a month. Maybe a walker, maybe like a few $100 or something. But a walk behind, if you can't finance $200 a month, you got a problem. Because most places I heard of, you're doing at least $30 to $50 a month, and if you can't knock that payment out in 2 days, then there's a bigger issue there. You're not trying.
Right. I see so many people anymore. Like the other day, I seen somebody in, I want to say a small car pulling a trailer with a 20-inch and a weed whip. And that's good. It's a good way to start. Definitely that's, I don't, it's kind of hard because I look at it like, I started small. Okay. I started with a small truck and a small 20-inch weed whips and then moved on up to a walk behind mower and from there. So I don't see, it being bad, but I know, looking at this one guy I ran into at the gas station, he had a small truck, he had a small trailer, he had a commercial mower, which you could tell was older. And he's just like, man, it's so hard out here to do the work. And I'm like, is it really, or is it not? I mean, it's not, mowing is not hard, but it's not easy either. There's a lot involved into it. And, it takes a certain set skill to do this type of work. And if you enjoy doing it and what you're doing, you can benefit from it, so
You might not be pricing it right either.
Yeah.
right.
Hey, real
Right.
quick, I will say, just so I don't sound like I came off the I came off the gate, finance and stuff. Like I said, I couldn't finance anything because I was so young and I had my family young. Like I used the credit cards I had as an 18, 19, 20-year-old that just went up and paid bills. Like I couldn't even walk into a department store and get a credit card on a piece of gum, so I had to. I was pulling a $500 trailer I bought with my Chevy Tahoe, my 99 Tahoe, and it used it was probably like a 90s old school snapper, just to show you how old it was. But the thing was, I did have kind of a business and management background, so I knew that once I started making the money, there were certain things I had to invest in. The things I were investing where I was mowing lawns, where I kept that used mower for a long time until it went out because it was so simple to fix. But the weed whackers I were buying used were going left and right. So I went to Home Depot. I got myself an Echo, the 225s they had there. I saved up. I got myself a brand new backpack blower. One of the biggest things that was a pain in the ass was my chainsaw. I bought that brand new. So those little things made my life so much more efficient than when it comes down to it. And new stuff isn't always great. I got a brand new 2022 Cat skid steer sitting in my driveway that has a draw. And with the draw, it's blowing fuses to the reverse cam. That machine's here because I'm doing work in my house, but that's going over to a commercial contract Monday to do brush cutting in a very narrow area. And now the guy has no backup cam to utilize it. So now that job may be postponed for a couple of weeks until another cat can get out here. So that's what I mean. We have another cat, but unfortunately doesn't have a backup cam. And all this gets there.
Right. I agree with you on that. I mean, buying brand new doesn't always say that you're going to go without, problems within the first year. When Gravely actually started making stand-ons, we were one of the first companies that actually started buying the stand-ons. And actually, the second year we bought one of the stand-ons, and literally we had it literally a month and a half before it literally went in the shop. And it went in the shop for the rest of the season. So luckily, we had one of their demo units for the whole rest of the year. But it's just buying brand new does not guarantee that it's going to last, 2-3 years before any problems. It could have a problem right away in the first year. And that's why they have warranties. And that's, if you don't register for that warranty, you could be in a world of hurt. So do you guys register for your warranties on stuff right away?
I'll admit no. I could do a better job at that. I'm not. I should. Being organized is one of those things. But aside of that, being in that situation in which you're having to work with the equipment that you have right now to build up later on in the future, like saving for those emergencies, having a budget, having money set aside should those situations occur in which you have to make repairs, especially if you're a single operator and you only have one machine. That machine goes out, you're done. I mean, some people get lucky where they're able to have that warranty and maybe get a demo unit to utilize in the meantime. But if it's like you know, like Josh says, you buy a piece of used equipment and you don't have money aside for emergencies for repairs, and you're going to be out of luck.
Yeah.
I will say one rule that I kind of go off right now, and this even goes in my personal life, is I like to have my capital on hand. I would rather make payments on something. Even so, what I do is when I say calculate a risk, I actually look the interest versus the time versus what I can do with my capital in my personal life and apply that to my business. And if I have a roof repair needed on the house and it's 20 grand and they offer financing at like 5%, it's like shit. Like, do I pay that off now and not pay the interest, or can I make those payments for like 10 years and only pay $300 a month? What can I do with that cash that I have available? Can I put that cash into my business and turn it, or can I invest in something, a stock or a property in my personal life, and flip that money? So like the rule of thumb I was taught once I got into like a little bit more of a comfortable spot where my credit did go up and I had a little bit more flexibility with money, as I learned from a lot of old timers, that like you sometimes do want to keep that cash on hand. Same reason why Jensen was just referencing what I said. Like, when you throw that capital out there, if you don't have any more behind you, you're in a bad position, man. Because like renting, you can rent, but renting's expensive. Like I know out here, a 0-turn 48 sit down with no bagger is like $200 a day with no bagger. So you have to figure that out. Plus you run around time, and if that breaks down, so it can add up real quick. Where it's like, all right, maybe you take 10 grand and you buy two $5,000 mowers. But then at the same time, you could also think, hey, rather than having the bells and whistles with the walker or a fancy X-Mark ride on, maybe you go and you buy, walk. From what I remember, walk behind was a cheaper option. You could buy a brand new walk behind for $6,000. No bells and whistles, but you were getting a few years out of it if you maintained it correctly. So you got to kind of have to look at that too.
I think prices of all the mowers have gone up over the years. Look at Bradley's. Bradley's are now, I think, $7 grand for, and they're one of the cheaper mowers anymore. And literally, you go to get a Gravely. I think when I went to look at a Gravely, it was 15 grand. I mean, most of that stuff is, commercial grade products are a lot more expensive than anything anymore. So it's kind of loan wise. I think it's hard. I kind of agree with Josh. I mean, when I started out, I couldn't get a loan really either. So it was like, it was paying on cash on demand. So it was kind of like at certain points, if I needed a piece of equipment, it was like, if I knew this job was going to pay for it and I had the cash on hand, I'd turn around, state that cash and buy that piece of equipment to use for that job. And then know that I could have it come back to, put back in my pocket and survive. So, I mean, you got to look at it both ways. You got to kind of look at what your credit is at the beginning too, I think, with, loans and stuff on all that stuff. And, equipment is always fun to have and always good to have all those toys. It's nice to have backups, especially if you're a solo operator. I mean, they can add up, just like Josh said, renting a piece of equipment, a mower per day. It's expensive. It really is expensive. And you got to have all your ducks in a row and make sure your prices are right to make sure you pay for that $250 a day for that mower. And if not, because you got to think about your time, your gas, you're driving around, your weed whip line, all that stuff you got to add into it to add all up. Otherwise who knows what's going to happen. Right? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, one thing that I would say is like if you're on a used mower right now and you end up getting into like a loan for a new mower, I wouldn't give up my old mower. And that's one thing I always did was keep the older stuff, because that now is your backup if you go down. So now you're not having to rent. So like if you can hold on to it, and then what you do is bit by bit you upgrade that used mower, like maybe it's a $2,000 mower and you have a $20,000 mower. Again, fictitious numbers. I don't know what mowers cost anymore. I'm sure walkers are up to like $20K now, but but I mean, you got to look at it like that. I just feel like there's a big pride thing in a lot of the industry where it's like, I ain't got no loans. I own all my stuff outright. It's like cool. Like there's nothing wrong with that. Like I respect that. There's a lot of dudes that can do that. But again, for me personally, I'd rather have the cash in my pocket for all the shit, knowing that I can make a minimal payment. And if you're able to take a chunk of change and throw a payment at the principal, awesome, knock it out. But just for me personally, because I know circumstances that I've been in before with money where I've had really slow years. I'll tell you right now in the Northeast, I'm in a slowdown, like a crazy slowdown. And I actually went back to listening to some landscape podcasts just to get an idea of what guys are doing in the areas. And it turns out I'm not the only one. There's a couple of coaches that were on Spotify that were even saying their clients in the Northeast were saying they slow down. Obviously, it depends on where you are. We expected it. We're going back to pre-COVID times. But again, because we budgeted in, those payments are made. The money's decided to make those payments. Now, right now, I'm not throwing any extra money at those payments, But again, if I was to throw out 100, like right now, I'm looking at another loader I'm looking at a mini loader and a full size loader. They're off-brand Japanese stuff, Chinese stuff, but together they're close to like 150, 200K. I'm not throwing out, not doing what I have, just 150, 200K to put out. I'm gonna wait till my snow contracts come in to confirm and make sure that those are paid for the year before I do anything, before I pull the trigger. I need to know that they're good, the contracts are signed, and boom, I pull the trigger on the note. And that's what I do from there. I know that it's coming.
Josh, just curious, because that's all new to me as far as that. And I think you were talking a couple of weeks ago about a company that you found in Connecticut that sells some of these Chinese brand loaders.
Yeah. So
what's the warranty like with those? Do they have a pretty good, decent one?
It's pretty standard. So like the one I was referring to. So I was looking at those before, but I'm looking at some STLGs to bring in. But the ones I was looking at, it was actually a Facebook company. It was called Damn Strong Loaders. They came up on a Facebook ad. They're based out of like Canterbury, Connecticut or something, and they're Cummins engines. So the parts are available. You just have to the dealer come over. But I believe the warranty is something like a year or 2 years. It's pretty standard across the board unless you buy the extended. They keep all the parts on hand. Obviously, there are going to be certain things that are foreign parts, probably like smaller electrical stuff. And it's going to probably be like the one thing that goes. But like even with the STLGs, when I did the research on that, most of the guys that have had issues, they've been things like wiper motors, fuses blowing, like nothing substantial. For me, it's just the price point. Like I have snow contracts, but I don't want to have that high of a note for like a Cat 950 or 930. Like those 930s are 150 grand plus, brand new, not including the pusher. And I'm not using these year round. I'm only using these specifically for snow. So these machines that are being purchased are specifically for snow. They're not for dirt work. They're not for rock work. So look at the warranty. You look at the dealer support, obviously. Oh, you don't want to get caught. The skid steers. That's why I've kind of edged towards Cat, because we do use the skid steers year round, and Cat has that mobile service that's pretty unbeaten, especially up here in the Northeast in New England. Like you see those trucks everywhere flying around. I'm hoping I was supposed to call them yesterday, I forgot, but if I call them tomorrow, I'm hoping to get here by Tuesday and Wednesday so we can get on the job. But
that's it. That brings up a whole nother point: is doing your research on the equipment that you actually need, as opposed to the equipment that you think you need. A lot of people in the industry will go towards popular. They'll see a lot of posts on Instagram and say, "Oh, I got to get a Skag because everyone says Skag is the best." It might not work for you,
Dude, I am like, I'm in love with equipment. Like I see equipment, I just want it. Like I look at like D8 bulldozers and I want that shit. I have no use for it. I'm like, damn, how can I justify? Like there's some shit out there that I'm just like, I'm the kid that like sits there and like watches a construction site and it's like looking up how much the equipment is. Like yeah, that's me.
So you're looking at more of foreign equipment. So would you buy if you you're saying because you're using it on a normal basis, you would go with a Cat. So would you really go on a foreign if you could use it normally all the time?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, at the end of the day, most of this shit's foreign anyway. The parts that are in are all built in Japan. Like they're assembled in the U.S. Cats are assembled. So if anybody listens to this, don't quote me on it. But a lot of the stuff, it's just like Fords, right, and Chevys. they're assembled in the U.S. Not all the parts are made in the U.S. Alternate starters are all made. They're sourced in China. So all this shit about you hear like, oh, we're bringing jobs and factory work back to America. No, they're being assembled here. So at the end of the day, it's like when you look at a cat, a lot of that shit's foreign. So it's like, yeah, absolutely. Like I know guys that use man, it's a very it's a company based out of Asia. I have to look up the name because I don't want to sound ignorant in saying it, but in the next 5 years they're gonna make a big bang in the U.S. I guarantee you, because the price point you're talking a loader that's comparable to a 930, and I keep using a 930 G or K for cat because to me that's like the mid level, that's like an entry level heavy duty size loader, right? Then you have your 908, your 920s, your 918s and stuff for lower grade to lightweight.
I really don't get what you're saying, but we'll just keep going with it.
But this I'll reference it on next week's podcast, the name of the company, but their price point when I looked was going to be something around like 80,000 for a fucking full size, like 20,000-30,000 pound loader is really good. People are going to say, oh, you get what you pay for, you get what you pay for. At the end of the day, it's like everything's you get what you pay for right now. But I mean, STLG, I mean, when I looked those up, the only ones that really had the most in-depth review was from Dirt Monkey. He bought one of them, and he bought one of them years ago, and I had heard about him. That he calls them the sledge. And he said the same thing. Like if you're using them for snow specifically, you're gonna love it. Like the Chinese ones, you have to understand it's like they're not like hydrostatic hydraulics. They're old school mechanical. Like when you're going up, Scott, you know this with the old tractors. When you're going up with that bucket, you got to throw it in neutral, hit the gas to go up. You're not going into a pile while you're driving and pushing this up. You're going into a pile, throwing it in neutral, hitting the gas, throwing it in reverse, bringing it back, and then flipping. Like you got to really have your hands on point. But at the end of the day, you're making like the 918 that I'm getting is 60,000 brand new. 60,000 brand new. The equivalent to that would be a Cat 908, which I think the starting point is 108,000.
Jeez.
That's before tax. That's before warranty. That's before any of that stuff. Pushers, any of that stuff.
Wow. Pushers aren't expensive. They're only like what, $3,000?
Oh, it depends on what you get. So it depends. I'll do a video from my yard. So it depends on what you get. So the pusher that we're looking to put on the SDLG is 15,000. Wow. It's 15,000. It's a 10 to 16, which means it has a 10-foot low board. On the sides, it has 2 3-foot wings. So the wings you see like a snowplow, where you can adjust them to either way. So you can make it to a full size pusher. You can make it to a plow. You can backblade it with 16 feet, and then you have an 8-foot pusher, a standard pusher. Yeah, like we have those are like $3,500. I have the 10-foot Cat. That was like $8,900 or something like that. My 14-footer was $7,000. So size and what you're getting all depends. But standard pushers are pretty straightforward. 8-footers typically $35,000. You get into 10-footers $6,000, 14-footers 7 to 10, and then when you start getting into like your snowplow, your snow wolves, your Arctics, your Protex, now you're getting into like the $10,000 plus. Dude, the metal pluses, $25,000 for high-end metal plus.
Jeez.
But supposedly it cuts your salt by like 15% or something. Your salt usage, it gets that clean.
Wow. Oh wow. I got more to ask about the stuff. So I mean, I think we'll have another episode later to talk about more snow plowing stuff, because I think it's very interesting and the stuff people use for snow plowing.
And I'm not even educated on it. Like honestly, one thing I've always wanted to do is I'm not into the seminars and expo shows, but I want to go to the SEMA show and the Snow and Ice Management Association, just because like the more and more I get into snow, like I didn't think I was going to get this much into snow. I'm so fascinated by like the community and the equipment and the technology, especially, which is just insane. Because I used to do the same thing. $25,000 on a pusher, you're out of your mind. I'm spending $3,000. Well, you can spend $3,000, but if you have high-end customers and you're trying to stay competitive and efficient, there's a reason why there's reasons why you spend this big money on these pushes.
Right. Oh yeah. I mean, I've gone to a state one, wasn't SEMA, but it was a state snow plowing convention, and dude, I sat through 2 hour meeting showing us how, and then took us out and onto the showroom floor and showed us the machines, how to make salt brine and how to do it. Gave us the calculations, everything. Dude, that was at a point where I was like ready to do it. Literally, it puts you at that point where you're like, wow, I can make salt brine that easily, and I already have all the information. Like that's, and then it comes in handy, if you know
That's
all
the
that
other thing.
stuff.
I got a brine tank in my yard. I didn't use it last year because I didn't have the right applications. But I wanna, if we get rid of if we don't retain one of our larger accounts this year, I may use it just to cut back on the usage. But I've been wanting to get into that. I feel like brine versus salt is similar to like the battery powered versus gas powered in the lawn care industry, because like it has its places. Like, who's would be good on this is Mike Bedell. Bedell is actually someone who I reached out about it, and he knows a lot about it. So
Yeah. Oh yeah. Brine works like awesomely, fast and simple, and it takes a little bit of time to make it. And if you can make it your own self on site and push it out onto a yard, dude, you make some great cash on it.
Trust me,
Yeah,
some
we
of
gotta get some.
the hillbillies listening out there. If you can make moonshine in your garage, you can make brine in your backyard.
Yeah.
We got to get Mikey Bedell on the show one of these days for sure.
Yes, we do. We're going to call him out. Mike Bedell, you need to come on the show, please. And I know you're going to watch it. If not, we're going to tag you in it and make you watch it. So,
We're gonna peg him.
Yep.
He's not coming on the show now. I'll tell you that.
Yeah. Nope. He's not coming on. We lost that one. All right.
We definitely got to do a snow show. That'd be cool.
Yeah. I think so. So, anything else before we leave, guys, for the day? Anything you guys want to share? Anything you guys want to talk about? Josh is going to see the Barbie movie soon, so he'll be all dressed as Ken.
So off topic, yesterday around 9. Off topic, yesterday, Josh, I ran by your neighborhood, and I'm glad I didn't see you because you would have saw me on the side of the road almost hurling.
You know what's funny? I was sitting in the backyard with my wife and the dog, and she goes, "I haven't seen Jensen run by here." I'm like, "He's probably running by and just not saying nothing." I'm like, "That would have been funny." See a cough down. And I said, "I'm like, I think he's out of shape. He can't make the run anymore."
Yeah.
Wow. You need to stop by, Jensen. You need to stop by. That Josh has almost got your room ready.
You know what?
Well, I'll tell you this, right?
Jensen had an excuse for years before I moved here. Oh yeah, now I think I live legit like 20 minutes from the guy. He jogs by my house at least once a week, and I hit him up every time I go to his neighborhood. But like, forget it. I'm just getting blacklisted now with Jensen.
Well, he's not technically. You're not really close. You're like another 15, 20 minutes away, but. I'll take. I'm
a town. My town's right here. His town's right here.
Yeah. I don't really even run. I just stalk Josh's house, like. Yeah.
You park outside, like two doors down, and just walk by his house.
I pour water on my head like I'm sweating. I'm like, what's up, man? What's going on? Just going for a jog.
Yeah. Jeez. Oh, there's nothing wrong with stalking.
I'm in the city, so he blends in with everybody else that does that shit. So.
Oh yeah. Okay. Well, this was a great episode, guys. Continue to listen to us on Spotify, wherever you listen to us on your podcasting platforms, and watch us here on YouTube. As we'll be back next week. We'll ask Josh about the Barbie movie and see what he thinks about it, and then Jensen, we'll ask how your jogging's going and seeing if you can take that lagger down and keep jogging. So you guys have a great week. Thank you guys for all watching. Thank you guys for commenting. Keep commenting. Let us know how you guys like the show. I will talk to you guys later. Have a good